Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. This is chapter 3 again, but part 2. Part 2 of chapter 3 is about human resource management approaches and strategies. In this chapter, in this part of the chapter, part 2, we'll try to focus on two famous approaches to human resource management. The universalistic approach and the contingency approach, and we will try to compare between these approaches and introduce human resource management strategy. Okay, so we have two basic approaches to human resource strategy. The first approach is the universalistic approach, which seeks to identify a set of human resource practices and that is beneficial for all organizations. So this approach focuses on set of practices that are universalistic. It means that these practices are believed to serve many organizations or all over the world. So they are common, and taking these practices into account based on this approach helps organization in achieving good strategy, good human resource management strategy, because simply you rely on best practices. This approach has identified a bundle of practices. So through this approach, we try to find a group of practices or set of practices labeled to the commitment strategy that appear to be generally beneficial. So these practices are expected to be beneficial or proved to be beneficial by many companies. Practices in the commitment bundle communicate the message that management cares about employees, and through these practices, companies try to tell employees that we do care about you. Why? Because they want to have committed workforce. So if you want to have committed workforce, simply you need to um, convince your employees that you are making a lot of things for them. You are committed from your side through the bundle of human resources. So you give your employees, you follow specific set of human resource bundles in order to get the commitment of your employees. So the commitment strategy also helps ensure that employees have the training and the freedom to pursue important job tasks. باختصار Universalistic Approach المدخل لدراسة الموارد البشرية أو لبناء استراتيجية موارد بشرية ملائمة بركز على إيجاد مجموعة من ممارسات الموارد البشرية اللي أثبتت فعاليتها عند منظمات كثيرة، فأفضل الممارسات في الموارد البشرية بيتم انتقائها وتبنيها. ببساطة هذه النظرة بتقولنا إذا رحنا في هذا الاتجاه وتبنينا أفضل الممارسات بنتوقع أن يكون في عندنا كوميتمنت باتجاه، يعني التزام باتجاه العاملين أو الموظفين الموجودين عندنا، وبنتوقع كمان إن هم في المقابل يبادلونا درجة عالية من الالتزام، مثلا عبر إنهم يلتزموا بقوانين الشركة، يخدموا الزبائن بشكل أفضل وهكذا. Of course, the universalistic approach uh, is not recommended by all human resource management strategists. Some strategists focus on the contingency approach. So you simply cannot have same practices as other companies. So what's the solution? The solution that you design your human resource management strategies based on the current situations. So simply the contingency approach seeks to align human resource practices with competitive business strategies. So remember that we have two competitive business strategies. We have cost leadership and we have differentiation. So it simply tells us that if you choose to compete based on cost, you need to follow or to have a specific set of human resource management practices. If you want to compete based on differentiation and innovation, you need also to have other set of human resource management practices. So this approach focuses on cost leadership versus a focus on differentiation. Through this approach, organizations mainly concerned with reducing cost emphasize processes and general roles, as we will discuss in upcoming chapters and slides. If you focus on reducing cost, you need to emphasize processes and general roles. So you need to um, improve the processes, your processes and operations. They carefully prescribe appropriate behaviors for performing work. They are, very strict in treating their employees in terms of doing things. So they enforce employees to follow standards, to follow the procedures in a strict way. Another difference is whether the organization has an internal or an external labor orientation. It's very important also to look at the labor orientation, as we will discuss in coming slides. Organizations with an internal labor orientation seek long-term relationships with employees. So simply, internal labor orientation means that you need to have long-term relationships with employees, while external labor orientation seeks flexibility and don't make long-term commitments to employees. So we want to be flexible. So what does it mean? It means that if we need the employee, we will get him or her out of the market, from the labor market. If we don't need him or her, simply we don't have any commitment toward this employee. باختصار هذا الكونتنجنسي ابروتش بتحدث عن ملائمة ممارسات الموارد البشرية مع استراتيجيات المنافسة. فإذا كنا بننافس على أساس الكوست هنتبع مجموعة مختلفة من الممارسات في الموارد البشرية عن لو كنا بنتبع الديفرنشيشن والتميز في المنتج أو الخدمة. وهذا طبعا القرارات بتحتاج منا إنه إحنا ننتبه. إذا إحنا بنهتم أكثر بالكوست هتلاقوا الشركات اللي بتهتم بالكوست بتركز على تحسين العمليات لأنها بتقلل تكاليفها. بتبني أدوار وظيفية، الدور الوظيفي تبع الموظفين يكون واسع يقدروا يمارسوا أكثر من نشاط. بيوضحوا بشكل قاطع وبشكل very clear يعني إنه كيف الموظف ينجز أعماله بشكل سريع. كمان مهم جدا في الكونتنجنسي ابروتش انه احنا ننظر للمؤسسة، هل المؤسسة بتشجع او لديها استراتيجية بانها توظف الموظفين عندها لفترة زمنية طويلة وبالتالي حتخسر عليهم كثير في قضايا التعيين والتدريب والتطوير الى اخره، او بدها تكون مرنة في هذا الموضوع، يعني متى بتحتاج الموظف بتاخده، ما بتحتاجه خلاص مش موجود عندها اصلا. If you look at this slide actually compares between cost strategy and differentiation strategy. So, what will be the practices when you have cost strategy and versus when you have differentiation strategy? When you have cost strategy, you emphasize group contribution. So you need your people to contribute to complement each other's. If you have differentiation strategy, you emphasize individual contribution because you need people to innovate. You need people to come up with new ideas. Of course, you need people to cooperate, but innovation and differentiation is much important than contribution, group contribution. If you have cost strategy, you focus on improving the processes. But if you have differentiation strategy, you focus on outcomes and results. You focus on the product characteristics, the service level, and so on. If you have cost strategy, you try to have general employee skills. You try to help employees to have general skills not specific. They are not experts. They are ready to do whatever the organization requests them to do. While if you have differentiation strategy, you need to develop specific employee skills. You need your employees to be experts in specific fields. So if you have cost strategy, again, you focus on efficiency. You have efficiency culture. While if you have differentiation, you have innovation culture. Um, in cost strategy, you focus on clearly prescribed tasks. You try to have standardized work procedures. While in differentiation strategy, you are flexible in assigning tasks to your employees, so employees can actually achieve their targets based on flexible time schedules, based on flexible availability. If you have cost strategy, rules and procedures that standardized work are very important to you. If you have differentiation strategy, you have few rules and procedures, and your employees are allowed to deviate from standards. ببساطة هذه السلايد تقارن بين الكوست استراتيجي والديفرنشيشن استراتيجي. إذا كان احنا بنتبنى الكوست استراتيجي حنلاقينا بنركز على العمل الجماعي أو الإنجاز الجماعي، خلينا نقول على تحسين العمليات عشان نقلل التكاليف. يكون عند الموظفين تبعونا general employee skills، مهارات عامة. بنركز على إنه يكون في تعاون بين الموظفين. ثقافتنا ثقافة تقليل النفقات. بنوضح المهام للموظف بشكل قوي، نخلي الموظف يتبع التعليمات بشكل قوي. بينما لو كان عندنا differentiation strategy هنلاقينا بنحاول نعزز الإسهامات الشخصية للناس، لأنه إحنا بدنا إياهم يبرزوا طاقاتهم ويبرزوا آفاق التطوير عندهم. فبتلاقينا بنركز على الريزلتس، النتائج، بمعنى إنه إحنا قديش الموظف يطلع لنا منتج مختلف، خصائص المنتج تكون مميزة عن المنتجات الأخرى الموجودة في السوق. عشان هيك إحنا بنركز في differentiation strategy إنه يكون موظفينا عندهم مهارات محددة قوية في بعض المجالات، يعني يكونوا خبراء في بعض المجالات. الكومبيتيشن أو المنافسة بين الموظفين بتكون بشكل متوسط. ثقافتنا ثقافة الإبداع والابتكار والتميز. التاسكس أو المهام بتكون مرنة، وبنعطي مرونة للموظفين في أداء أعمالهم. المهم عندنا الابتكار. القواعد والستاندرز اللي بتحكم العمل عندنا موجودة، لكنها مش مفعلة بشكل قوي جدا اللي تحد من إبداع وابتكار الموظفين. Okay, so this slide shows us that we have, based on the contingency approach, of course, we have 4 human resource strategies commonly used by organizations. We have the loyal soldier, the bargain laborer, committed expert, and free agent. So let's go to the next slide and try to define each of these strategies based on 2 dimensions, as we will see. Okay, so if we look at this slide, you will see that we have the 4 strategies, 4 human resource management strategies. And we differentiate between these 4 strategies based on 2 dimensions. The first dimension is the strategic direction. And you know now, from a competitive point of view, competition point of view, that you either follow the cost leadership or differentiation competitive strategies. And the other dimension is about labor orientation. So, are your organization or is your organization does your organization have internal labor orientation or external labor orientation? Simply, does your organization seek to hire employees for long term and develop their skills, invest in their skills, or simply your organization wants to be flexible and have external labor orientation, so gets employees whenever it needs. So, if you have cost leadership, if you follow cost leadership in competition and you have internal labor orientation, you are in the first quadrant. You have loyal soldier human resource management strategy. If you have differentiation competitive strategy and you also have internal labor orientation, you have committed expert, a human resource management strategy. If you follow cost leadership in the competition and you have external labor orientation, you have the bargain labor strategy. While the last one, if you have differentiation in the competition and external labor orientation, you have free agent strategy. And if you look at these four different quadrants, you will find that we differentiate between them based on the emphasis on efficiency or distinctiveness. If you emphasize efficiency, you are in the cost leadership. If you emphasize distinctiveness, you are in the differentiation.